And just like that, y'all, it's not looking too good for Diddy. His lawyer just straight up quit on him. This man's lawyer just said, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Diddy Combs.
I'm back to NOTFITTIE to the E, and today we're going to be taking a look at these creepy TikTok videos. These are the winners of the riddles. Congratulations to you guys. You guys have been doing actually really good at this, I'm not gonna lie. Today's riddle is, what word contains 26 letters but only 3 syllables? If you guys know, put it down in the comments, and as y'all know, you will be getting a video shout out if you get it right without cheating. Some of my comments yesterday said I should stop asking for like a set amount of likes because it's low-key ruining the likes, because I could be getting more. So if you see this video, there is no like goal, just like it. Let's try to get beyond 2,000, just 2,000 plus likes, okay? As y'all know, these videos get crazy, so make sure to watch at your own risk and subscribe.
Microsoft have just shocked the world after announcing that they have created an entirely new state of matter. Yeah, you heard that right. It's not a solid, liquid, or gas. It's a phase of matter that only exists at the quantum level, called a topological state. So what the hell is a tech company doing making scientific breakthroughs? One very important reason: quantum computing. Because yes, while we're all currently talking about AI, there's another less spoken about pursuit that would drastically change the world as we know it. And after Microsoft's quantum chip breakthrough, which I'll get into, it now seems more possible than ever. Let me explain. Remember that scene from Endgame when Tony Stark asked Jarvis to run a bunch of different simulations to see if his models would work for time travel? Well, essentially, that's the capability of quantum computers. Currently, if scientists wanted to create, let's say, like a new material that self-heals, so that buildings would just fix themselves, or clothes would stitch themselves back together if torn, well, they would have to trial and error their way through the discoveries. They'd mix a bunch of chemicals, test their properties, and hope to find something useful. But this can take years. However, kind of like how Jarvis did with time travel, quantum computers could step in and simulate a bunch of different materials at the atomic level with extreme accuracy, predicting their properties before they even exist. Essentially, they could exponentially speed up that trial and error phase. And that level of problem solving could tackle so many issues we face today. A cure for cancer? Sure. Climate change? Why not? Nuclear fusion for potentially limitless clean energy? Sure. But where the hell does Microsoft come into all of this? Well, they just said that the chip that they created, the Majorana 1, has the potential to hold more computational power than all the combined computational power that exists on the planet. And it fits in the palm of your hand. Yeah. And they were only capable of achieving this because of that new state of matter that we mentioned earlier, the topological state. And it is wild. Now, because Majorana particles hiding quantum information from environmental noise means nothing to you, think of this new state of matter like this. If normal states of matter are like ink on a paper, where a small mistake like smudging it with your hand ruins everything, a topological state is like a tattoo, where even if the skin stretches or moves, the design stays intact. More simply put, this state of matter is more resistant to errors, and this stability could help Microsoft solve the biggest problem we currently face with quantum computing, which is error correction. And while this is a genuine breakthrough, we're not like fully there yet. It's more of a we made the engine moment rather than we just made the entire car and you're ready to go. They would need around 1 million qubits to start solving those real world problems at scale, and currently they've created about 8. But it's still damn impressive.
Quantum computing is like we're in a Jimmy Neutron episode or something. That is actually crazy. But what he said something that I really thought about. It's like, what is Microsoft making scientific breakthroughs? Like, this is a technology company. I mean, I guess quantum technology is technology, so it makes sense. We're living through real life evolutionary things right now. Some life-changing things.
This is the ring pistol, the world's smallest gun. To fire it, you first unlock the chamber and load 6 tiny bullets. Once the magazine is locked back in, you can wear it as an ordinary ring, but in a moment of danger, it can fire 6 automatic rounds, ensuring the death of 2 people.
So there's been a lot of chimp attacks in history, but this one sticks with me in the worst possible way. And no, this one's not about Travis. St. James Davis was a former NASCAR driver that adopted and raised a pet chimpanzee named Mo. This ain't going the way you think it is. For almost 30 years, Davis and his wife raised Mo like he was their son, and Mo was even the best man at their wedding. Except there was an incident where Mo bit an officer hard enough for her to need stitches, and the two were forced to give up Mo to an animal sanctuary an hour away. But Mo was basically their son, and the two would often make the drive to go see him. And on Mo's 39th birthday, the two showed up with a cake, which they fed him through a fence, and Mo seemed like he was genuinely having a good time. You know who wasn't? The two male chimps that were watching them. So here's the thing about chimps. In the hierarchy, lower ranking males have to surrender food to higher ranks. It's the rule. It's why people in South Africa have a baboon problem, since constantly being fed by people has made them see all humans as low ranks. Also, chimpanzees are capable of feeling every human emotion. That includes jealousy, greed, and straight up malice. So while these two chimps were watching this party happen without them, that was the worst possible time for them to realize their cages were unlocked. The two males charged, and one of them bit Davis's wife's thumb clean off. To protect his wife, 6'2" former running back Davis put himself between his wife and the two raging chimps. What happened next was one of the most brutal animal maulings I've ever read about. In 7 grisly minutes, St. James lost an eye, lost all of his fingers, parts of his face, parts of his foot, and even his... Yet children were no longer an option after that day. Davis was rushed to an emergency room, but the first 2 places actually turned them away since Davis looked like he was a lost cause. One person even said they were better off just taking him to the coroner's office. Eventually, he was led into a trauma center where he underwent multiple surgeries and even spent months in a medically induced coma. He survived with his wife by his side, but his life changed the moment those 2 chimps got out. As for Mo, a little while after watching his father get horrifically maimed in front of him, he eventually escaped the sanctuary and was never found again. All of this because of a birthday cake. Moral of the video, no story that starts with pet chimp has a good ending. Ever.
Yo, why'd he say it like that? He was like, then he chopped off it and like stopped for a second. I was like, no way. But he's right though. I wanted a pet chimp at one point, and I was like, bro, do I really want a chimp? Like, you know how crazy chimps are? Not only are they crazy, they're mad expensive. So not only would I be spending a lot of money on a chimp, I'd also be at the possibility of getting absolutely shredded, because when chimps attack you, they don't just attack you to just put you out of your misery. Like, they want you to suffer before you go. So I feel for that guy.
If everything goes smoothly, I'm gonna watch a car fly over another car.
You can actually use it today, and you can cut your commute at least in half, if not more.
Jim Duchovny says his company Aleph Aeronautics was able to create something we've been dreaming about since the Jetsons. And while not quite ready for the road, Duchovny says the flying car is about to take off. NBC News was given exclusive access to see their concept model with our own eyes. Sure enough, we watched it soar through the air over another car and land. But for all the magic of this moment, we were heavily restricted, forced to shoot at least half a football field away, and we never actually saw the driver entering or exiting the vehicle.
We still have some IP, intellectual property, which we're trying to protect.
But practicality might be where the rubber meets the sky.
It's going to be slow, incremental approach, which is good for legal integration, which is good for consumer integration.
But he says, as demand grows, regulations will catch up with the tech.
Hey, I'm all for flying cars. Good idea. Amazing idea. Only problem is, do you really trust other people in a flying car? Like, we normally have road cars and people already mess that up. Imagine a flying car. Oh yeah. And the thing about flying is, like, if you crash, it's over. Like, there's no mistake. There's no hit a car then like, oh my bad, my insurance will pay for it. It's crash dead.
So this library has been discovered in Tibet, and it was sealed up, and it has 10,000 books or ancient texts. 84,000 books telling 10,000 years of human history, supposedly. Now, only a little bit has actually been translated. I think it was like 5%. But this is insane. It was sealed inside a wall. Can you imagine opening up a wall and just seeing all these books in text? I don't know what language it's written in. I think it's like this was built, they determined, in 1073. And it was sealed in a 60-meter long, 10-meter high wall in Tibet containing 84,000 secret books telling 10,000 years of human history, and only 5% has been translated. What? What do we not know? In 10,000 years, what do you think's in these texts?
I'm trying to figure out who would have wrote that, who wrote it and who was just like, yeah, this is exactly what happened in the last 10,000 years that we've been here. For all we know, that could be like some type of play that they used to do back in the day, you know what I'm saying? And they used to just write out the scripts and just store right there. I feel like us humans be thinking we know so much when we really don't. Like,
imagine going to Mexico on vacation with your friends. The resort you're staying at slips something in your drink. You end up at the hospital where they began demanding extreme amounts of money for treatment. They won't let you leave, and you realize they were trying to steal your organs. Well, that was the unfortunate reality for these college students who went to Cancun for vacation, ordered water at a bar, and immediately slumped over. One of them was then rushed to a private hospital where she was so heavily sedated that she couldn't even open her eyes or even speak. They immediately knew something was up when the hospital demanded $10,000 for treatment, $25,000 for proper treatment, and $5,000 if they wanted to leave. At one point, the hospital even said they're gonna take her to another location for an MRI, which the family researched is a cover-up for trafficking and even trying to take her organs. And they couldn't even go to another hospital because the hospital they were at refused to send their medical records to anywhere else. And after 30 hours, they had to get a $30,000 private plane to medevac her to a hospital back in the States. Prayers to the poor people that went through this. Let me know what you guys think, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
nah, that's crazy. He said $5,000 for treatment and $25,000 for proper treatment. What does that even mean, bro? They're like, listen, we'll treat you, but if you want the real treatment, you're gonna have to pay a little bit extra.
Here's some facts you probably didn't know. A licking machine is what made the discovery that it took 364 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. No smoking signs on airplanes only became mandatory after a fire on a flight from Brazil to Paris caused the deaths of everyone on board except one person due to smoke inhalation. Bob Ross's hair was naturally straight, but he got a perm to save money on haircuts while he was touring the United States penniless in his mobile home. He actually hated his curly hair, but he kept it because it became iconic. The British scientist who helped develop the breathalyzer was caught drunk driving. Children of South Naknek, Alaska are flown daily to attend school, riding the United States' only flying school bus. 85% of the world's canned pumpkin is processed in one plant in Morton, Illinois, aka the pumpkin capital of the world. Japan has one vending machine for every 30 people.
These are the most disturbing things found in new houses, part 1. Up first, this couple bought a new house when they suddenly discovered a secret hidden room underneath the staircase. This is absolutely disturbing, and I wonder what the previous owner did in this room. Next up, this man just bought a new house when he realized the past owner left their mirror. He then decided to take it off and discovered something truly disturbing behind it. The previous owner had a camera hidden behind it. I wonder if he was spying on people in his house when he lived there, or if he wants to spy on the new people who moved in. Either way, it's very disturbing. Finally, this man's friend bought a new house when he suddenly moved the carpet and found the exact spot where the previous owner died. This is very creepy, especially because that's a body stain.
Archaeologists have just discovered the first pharaoh's tomb in more than 100 years. Thutmose II is the last undiscovered king of Egypt's 18th dynasty. And now that they've astonishingly found his tomb, it's become the most significant archaeological discovery since 1922, which is when they found Tutankhamun's tomb. And although Thutmose's mummy was missing, they discovered artifacts with inscriptions of his name, and it also appears the tomb to be flooded. So now they believe that more of its contents, and his mummy of course, were moved to a new undiscovered crypt nearby. The director of the excavation said the possible existence of a second and most likely intact tomb of Thutmose II is now an astonishing possibility.
The 3 fastest animals in the world. Only 0.1% can name them all, can you? Number 3, the cheetah. Now this cat is the real deal when it comes to speed. It has this amazing ability to accelerate super fast, allowing it to reach these crazy speeds almost instantly. Just picture this. It can run as fast as 62 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour, making it one of the fastest animals on land. Now imagine, you're running as fast as a car on a highway. Number 2. Next up, we've got the black marlin. This fish is known for its crazy speed underwater. It can reach up to about 80.78 miles per hour or 130 kilometers per hour. It's pretty much like an underwater missile. But before we move on to the top spot, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and favorite this video. Number 1. And now, in the top spot, we have the peregrine falcon. This bird's got razor-sharp wings and a hunting method that will literally take your breath away. It can hit speeds over 198.84 miles per hour or 320 kilometers per hour when it's diving down to catch its prey. It's the fastest predator in the animal kingdom, the king of the skies. It's as if Superman himself turned into a bird. Now imagine, you're moving as fast as these creatures, sprinting at a pace that makes your head spin, or swimming through the ocean's depths with the grace of a ballet dancer. What would you do with speed like that? Let me know in the comments.
Probably nothing, honestly. What could I really do? Maybe I could have run on a highway for like 2 seconds. The thing about cheetahs is like they can run really quickly, but they can't run really quickly for really long. It's kind of like a full 100-meter sprint, and then you just have to take like a little break because you don't want to overheat and die. You know what I'm saying? If you're at this part of the video, remember to like. Let's try to get to like 10,000 likes. I know it's big, but like, why not, right? Like, if everyone, like, you know what I'm saying? If everyone sees it, like, and you like it, we possibly could get to 10,000 likes.
These are some of the largest sinkholes in the world. First is the Morning Glory spillway. This sinkhole didn't actually form naturally, but it was created by engineers for a special purpose. To ensure that the dam wouldn't overflow during rainfall, they created this sinkhole to stop flooding. It's a 200-foot pit, meaning anyone who falls in has no chance of getting out. Next is the Great Blue Hole, which is located in Belize. As beautiful as this hole looks from above, it's actually incredibly dangerous and 407 feet deep. Many incredibly dangerous shark species and several dead bodies have been discovered inside. Finally, the Guatemala sinkhole. In 2010, a giant hole formed in the middle of the city, which engulfed a 3-story factory building and 5 people. Now, there are 3 major reasons why this sinkhole appeared. Flooding in Guatemala, the eruption of a volcano 25 miles away from the city, and the presence of limestone under the Earth's crust. The sinkhole was 300 feet deep, but surprisingly only resulted in the death of 1 person.
People who survived unsurvivable things. Endumiso Mona. This man fought with a leopard and killed it with his own bare hands. Rommel Broom. He survived 18 lethal injections. Tsutomu Yamaguchi. He survived 2 atomic bombs. Anatoly Bagorsky stuck his head in a particle accelerator. Jacob Miller. He got shot between the eyes and survived. Dick Williams survived the Titanic. Julianne Kopke. She survived a plane crash. Aaron Ralston survived after 5 days of being trapped in a canyon. Vesna Valovic. She survived a 33,000-foot fall when her plane exploded.
That dude that survived that leopard attack, he's a real G, real G. The dude that got shot right here and he survived too, real G. You know how he did that, by the way? So I'm pretty sure we y'all might actually know, but like if your brain has 2 hemispheres, so the bullet perfectly went exactly like through, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it went like, you know what I'm saying? Like it didn't really hit the left side of the brain or the right side of the brain, it just went perfectly through. Yo, God love that guy because that's lucky.
This was the real life Fortnite. In the 1960s, a man named Hugh Jazz was a famous billionaire who owned a private island. He would hire men to take over 100 people from their homes at night while they were sleeping. And when they all woke up, he would make them compete in a game. But the contestants didn't know what they were in for. Before I tell you the rest of the story, I advise you to check if your phone is being spied on by clicking here, then on here, and if you see this app, delete it immediately. He would pile them up in a huge air balloon, and they were forced to jump out with parachutes and land on the island. There he would force them to unalive each other till the last person was standing. The winner received a lifetime supply of riches and would have to sign an NDA saying they would never speak of this again. People who refused to play were permanently eliminated by Hugh Jazz. He would stay in an underground bunker with the world's richest elites watching this on a monitor screen like it was an everyday sport. They would laugh and make bets on who would win or who would lose first. He did this survival challenge around 50 times before one contestant managed to make a raft and escape the island. 15 days later, when the contestant finally got to land, he told authorities about the famous Hugh Jazz. Eventually, authorities came to the island and found him in a bunker with 10 other famous and rich individuals. They were all arrested for their crimes, and all the survivors on the island were rescued. But eventually, Hugh Jazz escaped and was broken out of prison, never to be seen again.
This is one of the scariest urban legends I've ever heard, and it ended up being true. So there's this stretch of road in Turkey along the D100, and the urban legend says that if your car breaks down on the side of this road, do not get out of the car. Because according to the locals, one night, a few people got into an accident, and when they got out of their cars, they all melted on the road. Well, this is coming from an episode I just did on urban legends that ended up being true, but it turns out there is a reason that they all spread this legend around. In 1965, a passenger bus was traveling down this road when it crashed into a big truck carrying a bunch of water, and it caused water to spill out all over the road. The passengers got out of the bus because they were okay, but when their feet touched the pavement, their shoes started to melt, and it felt like their feet were on fire. And that's because the truck was not carrying water, it was carrying nitric acid, an acid that dissolves skin on contact. As they were on the ground crawling away from the accident, the acid was melting the skin off of their bones. And the worst part in all of this is that a group of 12 people saw a bunch of water that had collected in a drainage ditch and thought they should jump into it to protect themselves. But really, they jumped into a pool of undiluted acid and dissolved within moments. If you want to hear more urban legends and the even scarier stories they're based on, check out this episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, and this is part of a whole series that we do.
This is a case that not only makes me feel sick to my stomach, but also completely enraged simultaneously. And if you're a sensitive viewer, this one isn't for you. Meet Hugo Ferreira. Many of you will not know his name or his case, and honestly, I'm not surprised. I myself only became aware of his disgusting crime today. And as for media house coverage on the case, well, it's at a bare minimal. Hugo is a 37-year-old man from Valfordine in Carltonville, and he has been convicted of a heinous crime. On the 8th of June 2023, after an argument with the mother of his newborn daughter, he took the fully clothed infant and left the back room accommodation they shared in the old railway houses of Valfordine. In the short space of time that he was gone, he was brutally SAing his 8-day-old daughter. Yeah, I'll give that information a second to sink in. Later that day, he returned back with the injured infant, clothing missing. His girlfriend at the time, the mother of the child, then took the baby to the woman on the main house of the property. Shortly after, an ambulance was called along with the police. Hugo was arrested, and the infant would later succumb to her injuries on June 9th in Carltonville Hospital. Last year, he was sent to Sterkfontein Psychiatric Hospital for an evaluation. There, he was ultimately found to be fit to stand trial. He has been in custody in Polokwane since June of 2023, but only on the 7th of February 2025 did he finally plead guilty to the charges against him, namely murder and rape. The case has been postponed to the 25th of February for the preparation of a pre-sentence report. This document basically showcases the background of an individual in question to allow the court to ultimately decide on an appropriate sentence. As much as this case disturbs me, you know the drill. Keep your eyes on my feed and I'll be sure to keep you in the loop. Until the next one, Bella out.
I want to talk about how Count Orlok doesn't really look like a classic vampire, because there's a lot of historical context to these looks. So first off, in the recent Nosferatu, the director had no interest in just recreating the Count Orlok look. Instead, he went back to old vampire folklore from New England, back when people thought vampires were just regular dead people that could possess people from the grave. So he wanted Count Orlok to look like a real Romanian nobleman that had died. And that's different from the original Count Orlok, who literally was supposed to look like a rat. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, it's not really more complicated than that. The original came out in 1922 and is really just a metaphor for the Spanish flu. The Spanish flu killed 50 million people between 1918 and 1920 and was brought back on warships from people returning home after World War I. And they play on the fear of that plague in both movies. There's lots of ships and lots and lots and lots of rats. Rats, of course, have become a symbol of the plague because it's believed that they transported the bubonic plague around. But what's the most interesting in this, I think, is that the original Nosferatu came out 4 years after the Spanish flu started, and our Nosferatu came out 4 years after COVID.
Extinct animals caught on camera. Pterodactyl. Look carefully.
Three normal things in one country but shocking to the rest of the world. Part 12. Number 3. In Germany, the deposit system for bottles and cans actively encourages recycling. When you buy a drink, you pay a small additional sum, called Pfand, which is refunded when you return the empty bottle or can to a collection point. This initiative, aimed at promoting recycling and reducing waste, allows consumers to earn a bit of money in return. Number 2. In Japan, the tradition of Valentine's Day is somewhat different from many other countries. On February 14th, it is usually the women who give chocolates to men, whether it's romantic love, work colleagues, or friends. Men are not supposed to give gifts on Valentine's Day. However, they have their turn a month later, on March 14th, during White Day, where they are expected to give a gift in return to those who gave them chocolates. Number 1. Public toilets in America are often surprising to foreigners due to the lack of privacy they offer. Stalls are designed with large gaps between the doors and frames, allowing a partial view inside. Additionally, the doors are usually shorter, sometimes exposing users' legs. While this design is typical in the US, it can shock those who are used to complete privacy in public toilets.
Man, I'm gonna have to go to Japan, bro. Too many times here in America, girls be expecting too much, bro. It's like, yeah, I like you, but like, do I like you that much? Nah, I'm not gonna lie. Gen Z nowadays, this is what we expect. At least this is what the females expect. Valentine's Day come around. Flowers, a must. Hotel room, everything decorated. Chocolate, of course. You know what I'm saying? Like the flowers, chocolate, basic. Hotel room, okay, now you're asking for a little bit too much. Hotel room decorated to the max. Now you're asking for the most. Like, you gotta be wifey status for that one. Gifts. Honestly, girls nowadays expect you to, like, at least for Gen Z women, nowadays they expect you to pay, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be putting up some money to impress these girls, unless they on to the next. So, I don't know, I need to go to Japan. I need a girl to give me some chocolates, dude.
First games you should never play. Part 12, Bloody Mary. To play this game, you'll need an indoor setting. This place needs to be able to block any and all light from coming into it. Then, gather your supplies. You will need a candle, some sort of lighter, and a mirror. Then, wait until nightfall. Once that hits, enter your room alone. Set up the mirror if you need to. Light the candle and then place it in front of the mirror. Now, start repeating the name Bloody Mary. With each repetition, continue to add volume to your voice. Do this until you hit 13 repetitions. Once you get to number 13, make sure you're not in arm's reach of the mirror. She might scream at you, but you can handle that, you'll be fine. But if she's able to grab you from the mirror, you're probably not okay. If you survive this experience, immediately extinguish the candle. Turn on the lights and leave the room. Once you're fully completed, make sure you never use this mirror again.
Hey man, foxes are cute. And if you want them to stay that way, do not watch this video. Fun fact, the wild carnivore with the most real estate on Earth is the red fox. If you live anywhere that isn't a penguin playground, chances are there's a fox in your area, and there's 2 reasons. Number 1, they can adapt to basically everything. And 2, they'll eat literally anything. Anything. Okay, story time. My favorite fox is the Arctic fox. They're like the Bear Grylls of canines. They'll eat anything, even if it means shadowing a polar bear to pick its leftovers, even if it means eating literal leftovers. Forbidden fertilizer. Now the problem is the polar bear playbook revolves around sea ice to hunt. Less sea ice means less polar prey, means less leftover for the ice puppy. Last chance to scroll, wouldn't blame you. So there was this documentary where this Arctic fox couldn't find any food, and eventually her HP hit 0 and she became a was. Yeah, she was way past tense, and that's when another Arctic fox found her. Remember, I said anything. So fox number 2 started eating expired fox number 1. Except that got the attention of fox number 3, and with calories hard to come by, you know, you wasn't going. It started to squabble, and like a sick joke, that attracted even more famished foxes. So I'm over here watching 7 or 8 aggressive Q-tips fighting over the canine corpse of their own kind. It gets worse, because there's something I didn't tell you. Foxes live everywhere, and in some places red foxes overlap with Arctic foxes. Except the reds are much, much bigger. So eventually came a BBC, big black canine melanistic red fox that ran through the Arctics like Philly through Mahomes' O-line. So that's how I watched a giant black fox eating an Arctic fox while the other Arctics could only watch in starving jealousy. Hey, sometimes that's how nature goes. The more you know.
This girl killed her mum so that she wouldn't find out she got kicked out of school. On the 3rd of March 2020, police were called to do a welfare check at a property in Ohio. Brenda Powell lived in the house, the 50-year-old mother of Sydney Powell. Brenda had actually been on the phone with Sydney's former school. This was the University of Mount Union. Now, during the telephone call, a staff member heard repeated thuds and screaming, so authorities were alerted. Inside, they found Brenda Powell in a serious condition. She was rushed to hospital but died from her injuries. Brenda had been unaware that her 19-year-old daughter had been kicked out of the school. During her telephone conversation, Brenda was struck in the head and then stabbed nearly 30 times by Sydney. However, when police investigated the murder, Sydney tried to claim that there had been a break-in. She told them that there had been a noise and her mum had instructed her to run away. She said she heard screaming, and when she ran back in, her mum was on the floor. Investigators saw through her lies, and she eventually changed her story. At her trial, she pled not guilty by reason of insanity. Her defense argued that Sydney was suffering from undiagnosed schizophrenia. They stated that she killed while experiencing a psychotic episode. However, it is rare for people with schizophrenia to act violently. It was concluded that Sydney had been exaggerating her symptoms. She's recently been found guilty and is awaiting sentencing.
Here are some crazy things happening in the world right now. An unidentified man stole 3 amputated legs from a Bucharest hospital. One is still missing. An elementary school student went permanently blind after eating only a diet of chicken nuggets. Japanese elderly women are choosing to live in Japan's largest prison for women because they feel lonely and are struggling, and it has good benefits. The Walgreens CEO announced that their anti-theft program has backfired because, quote, when you lock things up, you also don't sell as much of them. Police charged a woman with a definitely not drugs tote bag with trafficking meth. A man who mistakenly threw away his hard drive with Bitcoin on it in 2013 that's now worth $750 million is now trying to work with investors to buy the landfill that the trash went to because a court case dismissed his ability to have access to it. He says he can't work a 9-to-5 job and think about this every day and would rather just figure this out and dig through trash every day of his life if he has to.
I bet that dude that went blind from eating chicken nuggets every day, he was probably thinking like, oh yeah, this is the right amount of protein. Wait, what type of chicken nuggets was it though? Because now I'm curious, because I'm like, if this dude wasn't blind from eating some McDonald's chicken nuggets, I naturally already don't eat McDonald's chicken nuggets, but I'm never eating McDonald's chicken nuggets ever again.
Breaking news, y'all. The Menendez brothers were attacked in prison, and I'm not sure what extent, but they said that they were brutally attacked in prison today. So yeah, this news just came out after they received the information that their case is not going to be going back to trial. So that means that they're not going to get the chance to plead their case in front of the judge and possibly get resentenced or released early. This was in talks basically late last year, and yeah, so basically right after this, today, they get attacked in prison. Now, they said it was a very brutal attack, and they are in critical condition. Y'all, I don't know exactly what happened or what went down or who had it against them to the point where they got attacked in prison, but this is crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like at the end of the day, it's weird that the judge won't even go take this back to trial, because they said the judge said that the reason why they won't take this to trial is because they feel like it is a bunch of lies and it can make way for more lies. And it's all fabricated. But it was proven that the father actually did SA them. So I don't understand how this is lies.
Shocking tech facts you won't believe. Facebook's algorithms can predict and detect breakups before they happen. The world's most powerful supercomputer is faster than 6 million PS5s combined. There's more computers than humans on Earth. Every minute, 500 plus hours of video are uploaded to YouTube. 4K videos can chew through your storage fast. That's why we all need a way to compress and convert files without losing quality.
Clips you need to see before you die. Part 8. Crocodiles in Indonesia have learned to fake drowning to lure humans into the water. To survive in the jungle, it's crucial to stay alert every moment. He was 100% focused. Follow for more.
We talked about the Jaws ride animatronic many times, but we're going to talk about it again because I found some new pictures and I want to traumatize y'all as much as I'm traumatized. Every day I'm depressed, I just remind myself, hey, at least I'm not in the water with a Jaws ride animatronic, and I feel all better. So the one in Japan is about 4 times as big as the one in America. Let me just show you the comparison on this. Like, look how big that is in comparison to the people. Look how massive that huge, gigantic animatronic is in that water. Okay, another one for scale. This thing is massive. And that's the one we got in America. Like, bro's goofy looking. Granted, this was only like one of the versions, but like all of the animatronics that were in America were so much smaller than the ones in Japan. Like this, oh God. This with that wire, sickening, and my worst nightmare. Here is a lovely picture that made me almost have a panic attack about 5 minutes ago, of all of these wires, hydraulics, and everything that is typically under the water. And then there goes Bruce's head up at the top, the animatronic that pops, this part pops it out of the water. I hate everything about this. And tomorrow we're going to talk about the Jaws movie, and there's even more terrifying pictures from the Jaws movies filming them. This is gross. Watch this video and let me know how you're feeling, and would you be able to go on the Jaws ride? Because I think they only still have it in Japan. I rode it when it was in Los Angeles in 2009, and it traumatized me, but I could not do the one in Japan. Watch this.
I don't know if it's just me, but animatronics do not really traumatize me that much. I'm just looking at it like, dude, I'd rather an animatronic any day of the week than the real thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, I can handle all these robot parts and possibly disconnect it compared to like a real shark that I'm gonna have to like probably stab in the eye or something. And then even then it's still gonna go crazy. So like, it's not that big of a deal in my opinion.
This was one of the biggest medical disasters in history. In the late 1950s, a new pharmaceutical was being introduced called thalidomide, and it was a miracle cure for morning sickness for pregnant women. Doctors and patients loved it. It was marketed as being safe, and it really seemed like a medical miracle for a little while. But by 1961, thalidomide was pulled off of shelves worldwide. Why, you ask? Because thousands of babies were being born with severe malformations. Some babies were born with tiny arms and legs or missing limbs. Some were born blind, deaf, or with internal organ damage, and some babies didn't survive at all. It turns out the earlier the mother took it in her pregnancy, the more severe the damage was. People were obviously devastated, and this caused a lot of public panic, and a lot happened subsequently. But first, let's talk about how this happened. And it turns out it comes down to one oversight. And that was that thalidomide was never tested on pregnant animals. At the time, drug testing wasn't nearly as regulated as it was today. And there just wasn't a regulation for companies to test how a medicine is affecting a developing embryo. It was just kind of assumed to be safe. So when thalidomide finally was tested on pregnant animals, the results were the same. The animals were giving birth to babies with same malformations. This tragedy transformed many people's lives, and it also transformed the way medicine is developed. The field of toxicology was born because of this tragedy. The world started to demand rigorous testing of medicine before it could reach human patients. Most of the people affected were in the UK. It never made it to the United States, and it's actually all thanks to the efforts of this woman. This is Frances Oldham Kelsey, the official in charge of the FDA review of the medicine thalidomide. And she refused to approve the drug until she saw evidence that it wasn't harmful to pregnant women, which ultimately it was. So thanks to this woman's due diligence, she saved countless lives, and she actually received an award from President Kennedy. There's also a corporate greed component to this story, because initially the victims received no compensation from the manufacturers of thalidomide. It took years of legal battles and public outrage to finally make things right. And in 1973, a settlement was reached and the Thalidomide Trust was established to support survivors. If we're to learn anything from the thalidomide tragedy, it's that we have to learn from history so that we don't make the same mistakes again, and that this wasn't just a failure of science, it was a failure of responsibility.
And just like that, y'all, it's not looking too good for Diddy. His lawyer just straight up quit on him. This man's lawyer just said, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Diddy Combs. Like, what? Do y'all know what this mean? Do y'all really know what this mean? He just made it worse for Diddy. He made him seem like he was hella guilty. Your man's just abruptly quit on Diddy at the wrong time. I'm telling y'all, it got something to do with Cash Patel. It really do. He seen that man become FBI director and he said, yeah, I'm not messing with that man. So he called up Diddy on the phone and was like, yo, what's up? Diddy was like, what's the word, my boy? He said, yeah, I'm sorry to do you like this. He said, do me like what? He said, yeah, I gotta quit. He said, quit? He said, yeah, man. He said, you know how it is, right? He said, no, I don't. I'm in jail. His lawyer was like, man, Cash Patel in town now. You know what that mean, right? Diddy was like, Cash Patel? He said, Cash Patel. He said, fuck! His lawyer hung up the phone. All jokes aside, though, that's messed up, though. He quit on this man, y'all. Y'all know what I'm starting to think? Since all these documents is about to be open, is there a chance he go back into this Biggie shit? Y'all remember the rabbit hole goes deeper. We probably about to see a big ass plot twist. Breaking news, they found out the real reason Biggie was...
Oh yeah, that's 100% a bad look for Diddy. Like, people already think he's guilty, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really too sure the real reason. Like, what he was saying right there wasn't the real reason. But yeah, I don't think Diddy is gonna survive this one, guys. I think it's over for Sean Diddy Combs.
Thank you all for watching this.